What would happen if you woke up in a world where you are no longer human, but a yellow slime in a dense, dark forest? The echoes of your previous life fade away as monsters approach. The fear envelops you upon realizing that poison might be your only way out. But in this life or death battle, you soon discover that survival requires more than just instinct. As you move over the bark of a tree, the taste is strange, and the transformation is just the beginning of a new kind of struggle. What would you do if you had to consume your own limitations to achieve freedom? Get ready for an unexpected reincarnation adventure, where every choice could mean life or death. Hey, I'm Shin, and welcome to the Best Maru channel. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like and comment, and also check out our video. That way we can keep going. Without further ado, let's get to the video. A scene filled with darkness. The swamp forest spreads like a sea of shadows, embracing the bases of an imposing mountain. Under the dim light of a crescent moon in the sky, there is a colossal silhouette. Perhaps it's a dragon gliding among the clouds, slowly adding an even more terrifying touch to the atmosphere. On the ground, wow, an oppressive and sticky ambiance, filled with decaying trunks, black mud, and glowing spores floating through the air like magical dust. Trapped in a gigantic tree, a small yellow cluster shines weakly and shyly, as if it were putting on a presentation. Suddenly, this clump contracts and two big bulging eyes appear, blinking perplexedly, trying to understand where it is. It starts to remember some things, lying in bed, fiddling with its cell phone, browsing a manga called Legend of Mushlo. This manga is the one that never really took off. Then sleep came, and like a thief in the night, death took it away. Now here it is, in the forest, and the penny drops. It has reincarnated. The yellow, pointy body trembles as it realizes the new reality, but the panic lasts little. Soon, it adapts quickly. He simply accepts the situation as a quiet day in the story he was reading and focuses on a few essential things. First and foremost is survival. Testing the new vibe, he shouts into the moonlit forest, hoping to hear a response. Damn, my brother. He is hit by a colossal feeling of regret as the red eyes begin to glow threateningly in the shadows around him. Above him, in the murky swamp water, giant mosquitoes fly as if they are hunters lurking. The air is heavy, almost nauseating, and the humidity clings to his new form. Yet, amidst all this, strangely, he feels comfortable, almost cozy. A rather bizarre feeling, to be exact. See? Confused, he struggles to understand this new condition, looking more like a living blob of jelly. He's more of a slime, right? No? Then, well, the holographic window appears in front of him as if someone had pressed a button and turned off the light of his past life. The screen reveals his status. Level 1, Morphing Slime, Weak Creature, Ability, Decomposer. And it doesn't stop there, my brother. A red alert starts flashing wildly, warning that his health is critical and that autophagy has been activated. Autophagy, for those who don't know, is a fundamental process of cleaning and recycling, where the degraded cell is repurposed as if it were a damaged component, meaning cell recycling. The instructions are straightforward. Eat or go into hibernation. Damn, it looks like it's going to go bad for him, huh? The poor slime goes into panic mode upon realizing that his health bar is flickering. If he doesn't act soon, he's going to kick the bucket again. The screen relentlessly reminds him of his talent for being a decomposer, and he gets an immediate idea. Maybe he can eat wood. With little choice, he takes the risk and springs into action. In a swift movement, he spreads across the surface of the tree, molding into the cracks of the bark. Surprisingly, the taste resembles a soggy cookie, something really insane to be true. He dedicates himself to this task for about 15 minutes. Transforming into a living web amidst the soft sounds of swallowing. And then, when he finishes, he lets out a satisfying burp. You know how it is, right? The system window blinks again, confirming that he has leveled up to level 2, and the best part, health restored to 35. But there's a warning. No more experience gained from dead wood for 1 hour. A skill point is granted, and he must choose between improving decomposition or piercing. Theoretically, understanding what he does is a task. But accepting the challenge, he invests the point into the skill. The function jumps to level 3, and yellow veins begin to pulse through his body. Immediately, he feels the effect. He can now move his entire protoplasm. Knowledge emerges like a snap of fingers. Even without a brain, he marvels at this. As he can no longer take advantage of wood, he decides to descend and explore the surroundings, stretching his sticky body along the trunk. A magical sensation overwhelms him as he changes shape at will. Down below, he spots a large purple mushroom, something strangely tempting. For a human, that would be deadly poison, but his instincts scream that it's a gourmet delicacy. Cautiously, he glides towards the mushroom, taking the shortest route. While slow, this slime shows that it knows how to optimize paths better than many engineers out there. there. Upon getting closer, he observes the mushroom, which has red spots all over its stem. With his new ability, he wraps the stem with yellow filaments and slinks up to the cap. From up there, he spreads out as if preparing for a grand feast. As he feeds, his mind begins to wander. Hallucinations appear. My brother, the guy is tripping. He finds himself in a cozy cafe, approaching a woman with pink hair, his virtual partner, innocently calling her pure little cocomelino. She, with her back turned, wants to know if he is the man she was waiting for. In the fantasy, he sees himself as a stylish man. With the slime head, wow dude, what a sight. Saying confidently yes, but the illusion shattered when she turned around. There's no gentle face, but rather a horrifying monster, full of eyes, waving at him. Come here, my sweet, get closer, come here, he screams in panic, feeling like he's fallen into the trap. Then, a toxic woman, in reality, a red alert pops up on the screen. Toxin detected. The poison begins to devour his nutrients at a brisk pace, you see, and despair takes over as he watches his hit points plummeting. He quickly snapped back and pried off the part that was stuck to the mushroom, releasing a piece of it to escape the toxin. The strategy, well, it seems to have worked. The system confirms that the poison has been eliminated, but it costs a lot, you know? His maximum health drops to 17. A bit more relieved, our boy, though incredulous, still notices that the mushroom is damaged and decides to leave it be. Sneaking back, he grumbles that he's just taking time to plan the next battle. Determined to recover his health, he finds a safe stump and starts munching on wood again. After 15 minutes, the system notifies him that there was no experience gained due to the time limit, but his health has been fully restored. Goodness gracious. He burps again, feeling on top of the world, full of energy. The guy is badass, you see. He's a slime now, right? No. On top of dead wood, he starts to devise a new plan to take down an enemy. The plan he formulated was quite simple. Eat a piece of the poisonous mushroom, and before the toxin affects him, fall back to recover health. Something like a true war of attrition. And he decided to call it Moving Mountains. With renewed determination, he approaches the mushroom once more and grabs the stem. With each repetition of the cycle, new hallucinations start to arise in his head, and this time, well, that toxic woman he sees seems to be exhausted. Then, he appears again, dressed in a suit, putting handcuffs on the monster. Will it be after the 8th encounter? Would she finally give in? I don't think so, my brother. She wants to devour you, you know? When the vision fades, only a wrinkled stump remains where the mushroom once stood. The guy seems to be getting used to eating poisonous things. By consuming the last piece, a system window appears confirming success and granting experience points. And look at that. On top of that, he gains a new level 1 poison resistance skill. He realizes that this resistance was crucial for withstanding the poison longer during the fight. Still, the expectation of not leveling up leaves him a tad disappointed, as he was hoping for a more significant reward. He sets aside his frustration and looks around the forest, filled with strange mushrooms waiting for him. Then, our boy, without thinking twice, continues his feast, devouring a meaty mushroom. The successful harvest takes him to level 3, and he confirms that this type is safe. Hungry for more power, he moves on to a furious monk's cap mushroom. Well, I'm sure that mushroom turned out to be quite spicy, you know? An extremely appetizing and spicy meal, full of toxins that burn his body like liquid fire. But the sensation is intense, and also fades quickly. The system confirms he has reached level 4, while his poison resistance is now level 2. Still, this does not quench his ambition. He feels that the only target is no longer worthy. Spreading like a yellow tide, he covers a huge bunch of white mushrooms and silently declares, triumphantly, that all there will become his sources of nutrients. The devouring is quick and efficient. When he finally finishes, the system informs him that he has reached level 5 and his maximum health is now 79. Next, a cold warning appears. He has reached the saturation point and will not receive more experience for consuming mushrooms in the next 24 hours. A whole day. My friend, satisfied and heavy, lets out a prolonged, ah, the kind you let out when you drink a whole Coke by yourself before taking off. He steals the remaining mushrooms and hides them in his sticky body to take with him, moving forward through the forest. He carries poisonous and colorful mushrooms like true trophies, singing to himself that they will serve both as emergency rations and as armor. He compares his own strategy to that of a crab using sea anemones for protection. Convinced that his disguise is brilliant, he thinks he will scare off any creature that dares to devour him. But the wind suddenly shifts, my friend. A grave zombie and a swarm of giant zombie wasps appear in the sky, carrying large chunks of red meat. Look at our slime friend. Then he throws himself into the tall grass, making a tremendous effort to remain still and invisible, trusting that his poisonous camouflage will be effective and that those terrifying insects won't notice him. Good. Our boy stays hidden while watching a wasp fly lower with its prey, and without any warning, my friend, a huge tongue shoots out from the shadows and snatches the insect from the air. On top of a log, a giant green frog chews on the wasp as if it were a snack. The slime freezes in place, feeling the fear grip him, aware that another deadly predator has entered the game. But the wasp's attack infuriates the creature. They release their stingers and surge en masse against the frog. From his hiding place in the grass, the slime watches the chaos, and quickly, the frog is surrounded by the overwhelming number of enemies. One wasp drives its stinger deep into its back. Another clings to the amphibian's head, biting in a fierce attack. My brother, are you crazy? Little frog, you're done for. Thank you, my son. I told you to wash your foot. Well, that was a reference to the song, The Frog Doesn't Wash His Foot. Okay. I know the joke wasn't great. Continuing, the slime analyzes the battle and quickly realizes that a single wasp might be less than the frog, but together, in absurd quantities, they negate any advantage. Over time, fear begins to turn into opportunity. He starts to think he could take advantage of the remnants of this mess. The corpses of the monsters usually render much more experience than rotten wood. The poisonous mushrooms are good, but sometimes they continue to attack the giant green frog, stinging and biting without mercy. That frog is going to come out of there all bitten, that is, if it even survives. See? In one last desperate effort, the frog's throat glows purple. It activates an ability called Strengthened Tongue. Wow, what a name, huh? Respecting various wasps in the air with an absurdly crazy speed. But the counterattack isn't enough. More insects latch onto its jaw, embedding themselves into the jaws as the frog croaks in agony. The slime continues to watch, silently witnessing the brutality of nature. But suddenly, a colossal shadow covers the trunk. The frog raises its eyes, confused, barely able to make a sound before being struck. A predator descends with insane speed, scattering blood through the air. A gigantic bird appears, with reddish feathers and a long, quite beautiful tail, you see? Sinus, looking like a snake. With terrifying ease, the creature grabs the frog with its claws and tail, and then lowers its head. One bright red eye it fixes directly on the slime, which trembles. The camouflage of the mushrooms is useless against this supreme predator, and after witnessing deadly monsters in succession, the slime simply gives up, while mentally complaining that this game is completely unbalanced. Unbalanced, its reflection diminishes, highlighting the enormous pupil of the creature, emphasizing the absurd difference between them. The bird tilts its head, gives a glance at the slime, and seems to lose interest. See? That thing looks really ugly and tasteless. And then, with a powerful leap, it shoots into the sky. The gust of wind from the impulse throws the slime away. It breaks apart in the air and suffers 30 points of damage, while its makeshift mushroom armor scatters in all directions. Slowly, the forest returns to silence. The leaves settle, and the oppressive presence disappears. Over the crescent moon, again the mountains and the forest. They seem calm once again, but terrifyingly vast. The slime ends up falling onto a log, with only a few mushrooms stuck to its trembling body. After the near-death experience, it reflects on its place in that cruel hierarchy. Well, those over there, observing that environment, gained clarity about the food chain that dominated that colossal and insane world. It realized that practically at the top of that pyramid was the giant bird, followed by beasts, smaller animals, and even inseparable insects. And down below, right down at the bottom, but at the very bottom of the bottom, you know, way down there, was it a slime, looking even more insignificant than the plants, almost planted in the ground, my brother. But strangely, this status of being almost invisible ended up being its great trump card. The difference in power was so brutal that it simply was not considered prey, which in itself gave it a chance to stay alive. Beauty. The best weapon this guy has is intelligence. The second is hiding, that I am sure of. In a moment of reflection, it opened its status interface and saw level 5 slime with 79 health points and 13 skills, yet unused. Its skills were level 6 decomposition, level 3 function, and it still had poison resistance, though it was still at level 2. And despite the rapid growth, complete discouragement took hold of that guy. 4 levels gained in a single night, and the title was still weak creature. My brother, the guy is in trouble. Everything seemed like a big joke, nothing had really changed, right? It wondered how a slime, just a slime, could survive in such a cruel world. Oh dear, sighing heavily in the depths of its heart, it wished everything were just a nightmare, and that it could wake up warm in its bed as a human again, right? But before that could happen, the light of dawn began to break through the canopy of the forest. Without any warning, a green liquid dripped from the cap of a mushroom high above and fell onto it. A real slap in the face of fate, huh? That substance acted like acid, burning the yellow side and causing several damage markers to appear. Desperate from the pain, he screamed, trying to escape that unbearable sensation. Then he activated a new skill, explosion. That cytoplasm he had was instantaneously stimulated. The violent impulse propelled him away from the trunk, scattering mushrooms everywhere. With the alcayo on the ground, he recovered quickly and glanced back, looking for the aggressor. Suddenly, he saw a huge snail with a red shell moving leisurely across the wood. The whole scene felt like a joke as the snail disregarded the chaos and released a jet of acid onto a nearby mushroom. Then, with a snap, the acid quickly dissolved the fungus, turning it into green sludge. The snail leisurely devoured its meal, while the slime looked on in disgust, cursing, "Ugh, gross! You're disgusting!" But since our boy still couldn't speak, he was mentally cursing the guy, thinking something like, "Oh, you stinky snail, go ahead and devour." The snail raised its eyes, widening its ocular hairs upon noticing the indignant slime. The slime was a bundle of rage. Not only did it steal the food, but now it had to be splashed with that disgusting acid. However, the snail just stared with an innocent expression, and between us it was playing the victim. It was sure of that. It tried to hold on to its anger, telling the snail to stop playing the victim and not to manipulate it, with that "oh, I'm nice" look. At that moment, the snail threw itself beside a mushroom, appearing deeply dejected and continuing to whine. Seeing that, the slime's fury began to melt away. For a moment, it thought that deep down, they were just miserable creatures wandering through a world full of dangers in search of food. Maybe it was being too hard on that snail, huh? So it let out another tired sigh, decided to relax, and told the snail that it wouldn't make its life harder and that it could continue eating at will. Since there were mushrooms to spare, the snail's reaction was instantaneous. It began to emit happy sounds, as if there was a party, while the acidic creature savored the poisoned mushroom. The slime stayed silent, allowing its head to float. It thought that maybe this was the beginning of a cliché friendship, like those typical in manga, you know? Like SpongeBob and that star, Patrick, where two creatures almost fight before becoming inseparable. Our boy started to imagine a future where the two would join forces and strengthen each other in the quest for survival. A friendship that would lead them to face challenges, evolving together and, who knows, one day, fighting side by side against a demon king. Well, that's quite far-fetched, right, with the skills they both have. But how did he imagine that could happen? He decided to put the idea into practice. He approached the white snail and proposed the idea of an alliance, stating that, being both low-level monsters, it was better to protect and look after each other. In exchange, he promised that mushrooms would never be missing in the snail's life. His response, instead of a friendly gesture, was to bite the spongy body of our slime, catching the slime completely off guard. The attack caused insane pain, bringing his HP down to 62, my friend. While dealing with that burning sensation, a harsh truth emerged. His fantasy was, well, on a completely childish level. Monsters are monsters. Conversation over. In that world, friendships or feelings matter very little. The only rule is to eat or be eaten. Well, what a strange conversation, my brother. Realizing he had been fooled by the snail's pathetic appearance and the true threat it represented, he decided to escape while the snail licked its own vomit. But still, the snail raised its head and spotted his attempt to flee, and soon turned, initiating that relentless chase. It did not let the slime escape. Desperate to stay alive, the slime decided to use its last skill points, raising its level from 3 to 4, my friend screaming inside its own head. It was time to use all his strength, so with a surge, he charged forward at an almost insane speed. Two slow creatures became entrenched in a frantic chase along the trunk, but to his frustration, even after his enhancement, the stinky snail was just a few steps away. The creature seemed ready to attack, gathering strength and releasing a massive ball of corrosive fluid. The acidic liquor ability was activated, the attack landed squarely, and the pain was devastating. 27 points of damage, literally splitting him into two puddles. For a moment, he questioned whether his consciousness would remain in the larger part of his body, but the slime quickly dismissed that thought. There was no space for philosophical pondering while death was in sight. The snail now hovered above him, letting out a horrifying scream. Its mouth opened wide, revealing teeth sharp as blades, shattering the illusion the slime had that it was just an annoying little creature. Without thinking, it started to devour slime from the puddle, and so, as it was being eaten, the slime decided to endure the pain, repeating as a mantra that he needed to survive this absurd scene, to take revenge one day. The snail casually gulped down a good portion of that yellow goo, but then it paused cunningly. However, its little eyes glimmered with a red light that screamed, "I'm not done yet, my friend. I'm just beginning to devour my snack." This creature wanted more, much more. Desperate, the slime began to act, stretching a tentacle and bam, wrapping it around a nearby very poisonous purple mushroom. When the snail came at him again with its mouth wide open, the slime activated its explosion ability. Then, my friend, like a rocket, he launched forward, sending the poisonous purple mushroom tearing into the snail's mouth. The snail, chewing the toxic fungus, and, my friend, the impact was instantaneous. Purple veins began to run across the snail's pale skin as the poison took hold. It writhed in agony, foaming at the mouth, and that was it, my brother. But do you know what he should have done? Take his finger off like and give that video a thumbs down too. The snail finally fell to the ground, defeated and lifeless. The system, well, it buzzed with victory, providing the necessary experience for the slime to level up from 5 to 6. Catching his breath, the slime began to think better about all of this. The snail always used acid to melt his mushrooms before swallowing them. That could only mean one thing. This guy had no resistance to the mushroom's poison. Shoving the mushroom into that mouth was almost like exploiting a fatal weakness right next to the acid snail. The slime chuckled, celebrating his debut in the list of slain monsters. This new world, curious about the rewards for this kill, he slid his yellow body over the white flesh of the snail. Almost immediately he recoiled. No, the texture was slimy and the smell was, well, something repulsive. It wasn't a very good thing to eat or smell. No, he tried to deceive himself, telling himself that it was like beef or a fancy French dish. And then he decided to activate his decomposition ability, but the moment he tasted it, horror took over him. My brother, the flavor was salty and sour, with a similar texture to rancid, very dense. "Are you crazy, my brother? What a terrible, grotesque thing!" He screamed internally in disgust and cut the fun short. Then a system window popped up, saying that the decomposition had failed and that he didn't gain any experience. Points. This guy stared at the divided corpse of the snail. Disposing of it meant wasting a hard-earned victory, with risks. So, with the idea that he needed to get stronger and faster, he accepted that he couldn't afford to be picky. With strength, my brother, he covered his nose if there's even a nose there, and made an effort to continue. The forest kept echoing with miserable sounds as the slime struggled to swallow that disgusting meat, his form writhing in a real mess. My brother, he mixed the snail's flesh with some mushrooms he found nearby and moved on from that grotesque feast. When it finally ended, the system announced that the decomposition was complete. Gaining enough experience made him level up from 6 to 7 and his body, well, it regenerated. But even so, he felt horrible and drained, right by the puddle next to the empty red shell, worse than before eating. He opened his status screen, and today, he had 44 skill points. His skills now were decomposition level 6, function level 3, poison resistance level 3, and explosion level 1. He was analyzing what each meant. Decomposition is eating, function is fleeing, poison resistance is withstanding the explosion, and fleeing as well. The guy accepted his reality, understanding that complaining changed nothing. For a weak slime, he imagined that the forest predators, like giant wasps, were the real brutes. With those stats, he couldn't even provoke one, even though he had more skills than attacks. Focused on his survival, he decided to enhance his function again. The skill went up to level 4. Eager, he tested his new speed, pushing his slimy body as fast as possible over the wood. After measuring, he came to the conclusion, 20 centimeters per second. When he converted the stop, he realized that this amounted to about 0.78 kilometers per hour. My dude, the guy is fast. Are you crazy? Flash in reverse, only if that. Total despair hit. After all, he was still a pudding. Ha ha ha. A week passed, the slime chilling inside its hollow trunk, a damp and dark shelter. He held a red mushroom close to his body, reflecting in silence. The place was safe, but it had been explored to the max. All food was gone, and in 7 days, he managed to level up just 2 levels. Staying there made no sense. It was time to find a new base. Before leaving, he decided to conduct a new comprehensive search, filling his belly and inventory. He activated the search. His body flattened and spread across the ground, forming a dense network of living veins in various directions. Well, that range increased as his hit points rose, and our little yellow mold slime made waves through the forest like a pulsating map. The The system indicated that 3 white mushrooms were stored in its body. Now it had expanded its network even further, collecting 6 small grassy mushrooms, all with precise control. It explained to itself that it could both store items and decompose them instantly, choosing the most efficient way. It demonstrated this by engulfing a group of blue mushrooms, devouring them one after the other. Then, it enveloped a large blue mushroom. The system confirmed the decomposition, granting experience and raising its poison resistance to level 4. Excited, it extended its search range even more. Then, out of nowhere, its yellow tentacles touched something hard and red. Wow, what a strange thing, man. The system alert popped up quickly. Something couldn't be decomposed. Before it could react, a sharp pain exploded, adding more damage points. It retracted its body immediately, pissed to realize it had encountered that type of enemy again. Damn. The invader spat a corrosive green jet, activating the acidic liquor skill. The slime took a glancing blow and suffered 7 more points of damage, but felt relief noticing that its new speed helped to avoid the worst. And yes, the enemy was another acid snail. Upon closer observation, it noticed that this one was much faster than the previous one, and wondered if, being of the same species, they could vary so much in strength. It began to move, evasively, thinking that the snail wouldn't be able to catch it again. But its confidence lasted only a short while. The snail used its devastating short-range attack, spreading the slime's body and causing 33 points of damage. Thinking it had won, the guy compared it to a beet, and in that second, the slime was waiting. It accepted the hit without hesitation. Using that approach to act quickly, it shoved a poisonous purple mushroom directly into the snail's mouth. The slime was there, thinking how easy it was to defeat that creature, with its weakness already in the palm of its hand. It felt in control, believing that its victory was due to its superior intelligence, my friend. And wasn't it that the plan worked right away? The acidic snail began to writhe, convulsing as the poison took effect, spreading throughout its body. Without wasting any time, the slime lunged forward and devoured the defeated snail, gripping tightly onto that slimy flesh that tasted horrible. But look at that. The reward didn't take long. It leveled up from 9 to 10. The guy settled down in a melted pile, feeling completely useless over the bad meal. But he admitted that the experience gained was absurd, right? After a while, he left the red shell of the snail behind and moved on through the forest. As he walked, a rustling noise caught his attention in the tall grass ahead. Thinking it was just another weak snail, he assumed he had the advantage. He shot an arrogant order for the creature to show itself, but the response paralyzed the slime. In fact, what emerged from the foliage was not a snail, but a giant and terrifying centipede with blue legs sharp as knives. Holy crap, man. The guy was now frozen in place as the shadow of that creature loomed over him, contracting its legs in a menacing motion. In a panic, he found himself behind a rock, aware of the great mistake he had made. As the centipede lowered itself, ready to attack, our desperate boy tried to employ his strategy that had worked so far. He held up a poisonous mushroom and shouted for the creature to stay back, grasping at hope. Well, it lasted a few seconds, when the sharp jaws of the centipede cut him in half with extreme ease. My friend, before he could be swallowed, the slime watched in disbelief as the sliced fungus fell to the ground. His trick, well, didn't work. It wasn't a complete fiasco. The centipede was about to activate an ability called blade strangulation. My brother, by the name itself, you are going to suffer a lot. Its long body began to coil around the slime, squeezing it with all its might. In the insect's head, it buried itself in the slime, trying to bite and tear apart. But unfortunately, something was off. The slime sensed that the centipede was struggling in vain, and it wasn't causing any harm. At that moment, he understood that his liquid body was immune to blades and structures. The predator, unknowingly, had become the prey. Thus, the slime began to envelop the centipede and devour it. The system then started granting experience points, which he accepted with a broad grin, right? While consuming the insect completely, excited about that easy victory, so to speak, the slime continued its hunt. Then it spotted a giant green beetle parked on a rock. It tried to attack, but only lamented the fact that it was too low to reach it. After that, it saw a cockroach, which, out of disgust, it decided to let go. It had no desire to eat that at all. Which is worse, a snail or a cockroach? I don't know. Comment below. With spirits high, it crossed the forest humming with a red mushroom in its mouth. Checking its status window, it was extremely impressed with its growth. Now a level 13 slime with 157 hit points, and its skills had advanced quite well too. function at level 8, poison resistance at level 5. Sitting on soft muscles, it really felt accomplished. Ever since it started eating meat, its levels had skyrocketed. Confidence was indeed back. It realized its place in the food chain was well above the insects, but still low, considering lizards and frogs, of course, the bird of terror. It decided it was time to aim for something even bigger. It was after giant frog legs. All confident, it imagined, itself growing continuously, visualizing mountains of insect corpses, dreaming of ruling that world and becoming a powerful man. My brother, you will know what is in his heart. The path led him to the edge of a murky lake, in the heart of the swampy forest. The slime stared at the water with curiosity, wondering if there were hidden treasures at the bottom and if it could dive to see. True to its philosophy of learning by doing, it decided to extend a yellow tentacle and plunge it in. Reaction was terrifying. Its body began to inflate as if it were a balloon. Panic hit when it realized it was about to break free from that osmotic pressure. Basically, osmotic pressure is necessary to prevent the spontaneous movement of water, osmosis, through a semi-permeable membrane, from the less concentrated medium to the more concentrated one, seeking balance. Well, that's the explanation, okay? Back to the subject. Fresh water flooded his cells and he quickly retracted the tentacle urgently, relieved. But with that, he set his underwater plans aside. Bubbles began to rise from the lake, the surface. Stirred and a dark green shell slowly rose from that water. Confused and alert, the slime recognized the creature. It was a crab. My brother, the thing looked firmly, with foam bubbling slowly at its mouth. The guy is angry, you see? He couldn't help but feel hunger creeping in, thinking about steamed crab. I've never eaten crab. It must be tasty, right? Well, looking at the other side after so many disgusting insects, the idea of normal food excited him, right? No. Trying to look harmless, he called the crab in such a friendly way. If you want an ally, come here, my friend. Come here, my buddy. Come on, let's have a snack. But the crab, my brother, simply ignored him. Instead, it climbed up onto a stone in the water and stood still, blowing bubbles. The slime soon realized that the creature had no intention of coming closer. So, being in danger in the water didn't seem like a good idea, and he changed his strategy. He would dissolve poisonous mushrooms and pour the poison into the lake to kill the crab from a distance. But the response came before he could act. The giant swamp crab inflated its body and fired a wave of bubbles with the force of a water jet. It hit the slime brutally, throwing him out and causing 25 points of damage. Man, my brother, our slime was in shock, realizing that a simple water attack could hurt him so easily and seriously. Also, that crab attacked again, and the slime tried to dodge, but still took another 10 damage while retreating. Desperately. Look where this guy got himself into. He slid behind a big tree, using the trunk as a shield. Against the continuous onslaught, trembling and overwhelming, he realized that this enemy was far more dangerous than the bugs. That running away would only make him an easy target now. The guy decides to hide, hoping that a crab would lose its patience. A violent crash resonates as the crab jumps from its perch. He sneaks behind the tree, thinking the monster might have given up, but his relief is short-lived. What he saw was horrific. The giant crab wriggles out of the water and advances toward the land. Its claws snap with rage as it uses a 10 ability, dashing back and forth at an absurd speed. The protagonist was paralyzed, watching the predator approach rapidly. They would realize that the crab wanted to devour him. Panic takes over our dear slime, who frantically climbs the trunk of the tree. He clings to the bark, looking down and feeling a brief sense of relief, thinking that escaping from water attacks would be possible. Fortunately, our boy laments how quickly he went from hunter to prey. My brother, even before he could breathe, a hissing sound from above catches his attention. He looks up and is shocked to see a large pale spider with bright red eyes slowly descending. Not feeling threatened, the protagonist waves a tentacle dismissively, telling the spider to get lost. After all, he was busy with the crab. Arrogantly, our boy warns the spider not to be ungrateful, boasting that he has already devoured many insects like her, but the spider does not back down. It stirs offensively, its red eyes shining with murderous intent. Suddenly, it activates a quick attack. One of its front legs strikes like a blade with fierce speed. To his despair, the attack slashes his body, tearing away a large chunk of slime and dealing about 30 points of damage. A spider eats the sludge, tearing into it without a second thought. The slime is completely perplexed. He thought he was immune to blade attacks. A status window appears, revealing that the level 16 spider had level 8 in fencing. Before he can process this, a high-pressure jet of water strikes the trunk of the tree, barely an inch away from him. The splash hits his body, causing another 16 points of damage. He realizes in despair that he is trapped between two deadly predators predators, the armed spider above and the crab spraying water below. Analyzing the spider blocking his escape route, he curses his terrible luck. You can see the rage in his eyes as he realizes he has fallen into yet another dead end. The question is, will our slime make it out alive? My brother, things look grim for this guy, you know? In the end, everything could change, right? No. Meanwhile, below, the giant swamp crab aims again and launches another barrage of bubbles at the tree. The slime dodges at the last second. The water jet misses its target and hits the spider square in the face. The force of the impact causes the spider to fall from the trunk, crashing to the ground, furious about the unexpected attack. The spider retaliates by shooting a stream of white silk at the crab. Ah, what a delightful improvised plan, if you know what I mean. The silk wraps around the body of the giant crab, hindering its movements. Taking advantage of that opening, the spider leaps and uses its arachnid strike again against the enemy's hard shell. The crab, well, it responds by hardening its shell to block the attack. Then, it counterattacks with its claw, breaking part of the fangs while trying to crush the spider. Meanwhile, the spider dodges with agility, looking like Spider-Man, using the web control high up in the tree. The slime watches everything in silence, quietly celebrating as he sees the monster clash working out. The battle heats up, but what really heats up, I as the narrator, is you becoming a member of our channel and also smashing that like button, right? Because it takes a hell of a lot of work, and that motivates me a lot. Back to the story, the crab, Gospel, foams with rage as it tries to shake off the webs. The spider, noticing the distraction, lands a precise blow to the crab's eye, causing an explosion of light and pain. The spider swings, ready to deliver the final blow, but the giant crab swings its claw, forcing the spider to retreat. The spider jumps, dodging the uncontrolled attacks. On the ground, the crab struggles with one of its claws caught in the spider's thick webs. The spider, taking full advantage of the immobilized opponent, reactivates the silk control, moving with absurd speed to ensnare the crab's shell. In just a few moments, the crab is completely encapsulated, helpless, while the spider climbs onto its shell to celebrate the victory. Just look at that, my tree brother. The slime watches everything in shock. He thinks the crab smells, but it looks like a packaged supermarket product, and is astonished to see a smaller creature changing the dynamics against the much larger predator. Well, that spider is perched on the crab's face, ready to feast. The crab glares at it with rage, frothing at an absurdly high level. My brother, bubbles are quickly accumulating, shining with a pressure that feels abnormal. Suddenly, a colossal blade of water shoots from its mouth with a deafening sound, slicing through the air. The crab's attack creates a whirlwind of water blades that instantly pulverizes the silk cocoon, my brother, leaving the spider shredded in the air, without a chance to react. In its last effort, the crab desperately attacks, unleashing a storm of water cuts in all directions. You're crazy, my brother. What an insane attack. A blade whizzes by, slicing into the tree trunk and almost hitting our little slime, who shudders upon realizing the hidden power of the crab. Down below, the swamp giant crab fainted, surrendered by exhaustion. A last weak jet of water escapes from its mouth as the adrenaline dissipates. But that battle comes to an end, leaving a grotesque scene. The spider completely wrecked and destroyed, a pile of distorted and twisted limbs. And the crab, well, it is down, trapped in its own web. A cautious slime lurks behind the roots of a tree, waiting for any remnants of attack to cease, as the forest plunges into absolute silence. He realizes that the calamity is over. Look, my brother, if you've made it this far in this video, it means you liked it, right? No? Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. That also means you deserve to subscribe to our channel, right? No? Then, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like our video. Back to the point, he realizes that the calamity is over. The danger has left the scene. The spider monster is nothing more than a pile of useless bits, and the colossal crab is on the defensive, trapped in threads of silk. In his slime form, he appears approaching the defeated enemy and mocking its situation, criticizing that waste of energy in such an uncontrolled attack. But a problem arises. How to eliminate such a resilient creature? Suffocating it would be a risky move, and he can't shove mushrooms into the crab's trapped mouth. Waiting for the crab to recover is also not in the plans, right? He needs to act fast. Scouring the lair for a weapon, his eyes fixate on a huge rock nearby. He spreads out over the stone, trying to absorb it into his inventory through his slime space. Then, a system error flashes in his vision. Insufficient space, my brother. He soon understands that the inventory capacity depends on his life points, which are very low after that battle. Faced with the choice between conserving his resources or ensuring the enemy's death, he doesn't hesitate. He vomits all those mushrooms scattered across the ground. With his inventory now empty, he successfully absorbs the rock, and the absurd weight elevates his yellow body to a grotesque size. He crashes to the ground with a deafening noise, my brother, complaining about the crushing burden. He drags himself forward with great effort, slowly rises from the tree, and positions himself high above the paralyzed crab to mock the opponent on the ground. He unemotionally declares that he has come only to finish off the last of its remaining life. Then, he drops from the trunk, using gravity as his ally. His heavy body falls like a projectile. The giant crab raises its eyes in terror upon realizing that the yellow mass is falling from the sky. Desperate, he shoots a jet of high-pressure water, but my brother thinks it hits the slime falling without being able to stop it. The impact, determinedly, the slime ignores the damage and advances. The shadow envelops it, and the impact, my brother, is brutal. With that deafening crash, the heavy slime collides with the crab's shell, generating a powerful shockwave. In the dust, it lowers, revealing the triumphant slime on top of the completely crushed shell. The system confirms the death of our target, granting enough experience to level up the slime to level 14, plus half a skill point. Extremely happy to have survived, he bursts with joy, laughing and celebrating his victory as the last survivor of that insane confrontation. And, without wasting any time, he settles on the prey and, without hesitation, excitedly declares that it's banquet time. There, he enthusiastically prepares for the hardest and most anticipated meal of his life, sitting atop the overturned shell of the crab like a true protagonist boss. He organizes the creature's organs inside it, using it as an improvised bowl. A piece of meat from the leg serves as a utensil, completely ignoring the remains of the spider. He dips the white crab meat into the yellow, rich, and viscous broth. With the first bite, the flavor overwhelms him. After days feeding on rotten wood, poor thing, snails, and insects, the taste of fresh seafood explodes in his mind. Tears flow down his gelatinous body as he realizes it's real food. This also heals his soul. Poor thing. Right there, he renews his vow of survival in this cruel world, determined to find even more delicious foods. He devours everything, leaving nothing behind. When he finishes, he stretches out over a nearby log, stuffed and completely satisfied. The status window opens, showing that he is now at level 14, with 178 hit points, and he feels entirely recharged, overflowing with energy. Then, since his hunger has passed and he is completely sated, he decides to use this newly restored vitality for an experiment. He positions himself in front of a stone and focuses on its internal structure. Compressing himself to the maximum, his single eye projects outward under the pressure. While he screams internally, straining with effort, panting, he stares at the stone, commanding that all his power manifest. He remembers the crab's bubble attacks and concludes that the ability can be acquired through practice. If the crab could compress water when attacking, a slime should be able to do something similar, right? So, determined, he intensifies the compression of his internal fluids, almost as if he were chanting a silent hymn. Trying to mimic the attack, he forces his body to contract. Some weak jets escape from his back, going in the wrong direction, but our boy doesn't give up. No way. He tries again, aiming straight ahead with all his might, but the liquid just drips miserably. Now exhausted, he melts into a puddle, complaining about the lack of control, unable to direct the attack. Well, his frustration grows, you see, but it soon transforms into pure stubbornness, refusing to give up. He presses his entire body, compressing his internal fluids beyond limits. Suddenly, a jet of yellow fluid is shot out with fury, crossing the air at high speed. Are you crazy, my brother? That ability, level 1 explosion, is activated. The projectile hits the shell of the dead crab, creating a hole. Immediately, the system announces that the explosion skill has evolved. Man, out of nowhere, that attack technique of his transforms into a jet of cytoplasm that, in reality, my brother, is as if he were throwing a piece of his own body. You get it? It's like a bullet, a book of happiness, right? Realizing he could evolve his skills if he trained and absorbed some stuff around too. Finally, he realizes that his progress doesn't just depend on the system, but also on his grit and willpower. But then he pauses, thinking, wait, does this new attack have that 5-minute cooldown that left me hanging before? If that's the case, all this hype will be in vain, right? It's not the right hype that you're going to give in this video, is it, son? To prove his point, he quickly fires 2 more jets, and to his surprise, the projectiles fly swiftly, piercing through the crab's shell with ease. The system confirms. There's no time to wait for this attack, and to make the situation even more hype, the cytoplasm jet levels up to 2. But his joy doesn't last long, you know? When he looks at himself and notices that the power bill has come due, his body is now just a dry, thin stick. A red alert blinks in front of his eyes, indicating that his health is running low. Each shot is consuming part of his mass, like he's literally taking pieces of himself to throw. At this moment, it clicks for him. Without energy, his body is the only weapon he has. Everything he uses comes from him and returns to him. A little disappointed for not being a wizard full of wicked spells, our slime decides to go back to eating crab to recover what he lost. While he chews, an idea pops into his head. What if I eat a part of my body? I've already eaten pieces of myself that were ripped off. How crazy, man. Could it work? He starts hunting around and, in the grass, finds a huge piece of dry yellow sludge, which is terrifyingly large. He begins to wonder if he really lost all that when the spider cut it off. Our boy is quite curious now, and he takes the fragment to his body and activates recovery. As soon as he absorbs it, something surreal happens. He sees memories. For a brief moment, he perceives the world from the perspective of that separated part. He sees the battle against the spider, the impact on the rock, and the incident of the fight. When the absorption ends, he freezes in shock. The parts that were cut off, even without consciousness, continued acting, decomposing, accumulating experience, and surviving as they were reabsorbed. He can not only recover life, but also the accumulated experience. Our boy is ecstatic now, you know? And he starts to hum with a nearly sinister smile on his slimy face. This is a bug, man. It's a way to exploit the system, that's for sure, you know? I'm liking this guy's system, you know? He has to work hard too, right? No, it's not all handed to him on a silver platter. I liked it. He imagines sending fragments to work. In different places, transforming a single mouth into many, multiplying efficiency without wasting time, he decides to test by tearing off a little piece of his own body. There's a snap, and he feels the loss of 10 hit points. Both the main body and the piece show clear signs of weakness, and then he notices a heavy limitation. If health falls below 30, hunger strikes hard. See? With a maximum health of 198, our slime realizes that as long as he has eaten enough to recover, he can create as many clones as he wants. Now, this guy is pumped. You see? He decides to pull off another large piece of slime, and the damage taken is 30 hit points to create a bigger, more stable clone. The yellow patch moves on its own. Success, my brother. He imagines himself with that ninja bandana on his face, you know? And he realizes that it looks very similar to the cloning technique from a very famous manga. You know what I mean? Is he copying ours? You already know. Which famous manga I'm talking about, right? No? He raises his fist and says it's time to work. One more small clone to decompose a fallen log, and the others to gather mushrooms nearby. He raises his fist and says it's time to work, my comrades. Send a small clone to decompose a fallen log and the others to gather mushrooms nearby. Meanwhile, everything appears on the status screen. Level 14 slime, 198 health, with the skills of decomposition, piercing, poison, resistance, and cytoplasm jet. This guy now feels accomplished with a plan. While the clones are harvesting, he relaxes, eating the leftovers from the spider meat to keep his health up. He sees himself as a stylish, armored human, even imagining himself in combat, right? Visualizing how common blows would pass through his body without causing damage. Now he's totally feeling himself and thinking that physical attacks mean nothing. Even energy powers would fail, since his liquid body simply recomposes. In the idea of being invincible, a thought starts to emerge in his head until he becomes serious. The only thing that frightens this guy is magic. Imagining himself receiving a magical attack. Think for a moment. If the slimes and impacts fail, could magic take care of it? He begins to reflect and wonders if he hasn't yet found the magic. Is this just a wild realm? This guy ponders and decides to set a trap in the murky water, spreading pieces of his body as bait. Then, once again, a giant swamp crab emerges and grabs the slime, while the others follow the yellow trail to the shore, unaware they are stepping into a deadly trap. The crabs keep feeding, moving forward without realizing the darkness that awaits them. Nearby, he quietly watches the creatures gather on a tree. They look up, but it's already too late. He pushes the branch with all his might. Gravity helps. He saw the trunk crash down, crushing the crabs. At that moment, he celebrates from above, while the system sends notifications. Eliminating 6 crabs at once raises his level from 14 to 15. He descends and finishes off the survivors, places a stone, and starts the feast. After decomposing, the flesh fully recovering his health, he observes the clean shells on the ground. Satisfied with his efficiency in farming, now stronger, he decides to train. So, he places a crab shell against a rock as a target and imagines himself as a legendary gunslinger, thinking of a skill called plasma barrage. Then, my friend, he unleashes a fierce rain of yellow slime projectiles. The impacts were swift and brutal. The shell, my friend, turned to smoke as soon as the cytoplasmic jet was fired. That primordial barrage jumped from level 5 to 6. The system didn't let that go unnoticed, but the bill arrived shortly after. The slime appeared all wrinkled and dry, almost out of health. So, in a frantic pulse, he went for a mushroom in hopes of escaping that state of auto-cannibalism. After 2 days of frantic training, he analyzed the results. The power and precision surged, but there was a catch. The shots were limited to 30. Before his life was at risk, he needed to face lethal attacks without further sacrificing his own body. Holding a poisonous mushroom and a stone, a bizarre idea popped into his head. Why can't I wrap the projects with the mushroom's poison? Huh? That should cause toxic damage from a distance. And what if I tie a stone in the middle? That should be good, right? No? This guy is clever, right? And isn't it possible that within that slime an absurdly larger physical impact could happen? Really? He decided to test it right away. He fired a shot loaded with stone. The crack was loud and insane. The target simply exploded. He smiled to himself, praising himself, the genius for creating versatile ammunition. But out of nowhere, a subtle touch interrupted his excitement. He noticed a strange light coming from a hole in a nearby tree. Squinting with curiosity, he wondered if it was a bird or just fireflies. Driven by curiosity, he approached to investigate. The weird sound ascended the tree carefully, leaning to peek into the illuminated hole. And well, the shock was instant. Inside, staring at him with those bright eyes, was a blue owl, looking like a ghost, and its magical aura pulsed in the air like a cold blade, crushing everything. Panic surged through the slime's mind, and his worst fear became a reality. A monster messing with magic. Desperate, he screamed inside and threw himself against the tree, crawling away. Our boy was sure a deadly spell was going to crash down on him any minute, but that owl didn't even care, just sitting there quietly, watching his entire escape. That was not an ordinary beast, but rather a magical ability, the symbiotic scratch. Far away, a woman watched the forest, looking through her own hand like a telescope. Her right eye shone with the same blue light as that owl, showing that she was seeing through its sight. Mounted on an armored boar and accompanied by 2 other adventurers, it seemed like it was not just a casual stroll. When a bearded man questioned if she had seen anything, she shook her head and emotionlessly replied that she hadn't seen anything serious, just a weird little monster. And so, the group continued through the forest. With the atmosphere a bit tense, the pink-haired scout mentioned it was strange not to have encountered any strong monsters so far. The bearded warrior signaled to stay a step ahead and was also worried that the magical bond with the guildmaster could be broken. Meanwhile, the slime was in total panic, thinking the owl had heard him, and was convinced he had provoked a magic user. Knowing that in the future he wouldn't be able to face this kind of enemy was a nightmare. So, he ran as fast as he could and reached the edge of a river, hoping to be safe on the other side, only to freeze there, unsure how to cross. Then he remembered physics, and without thinking twice, he leaped into the air and activated his skill Primordial Plasma Barrage. Instead of attacking, he shot slime projectiles backward, using them as propulsion. The plan worked, see? But the cost was brutal. 80 health points went down the drain. Damn. As his body flew forward, the force hurled him high above the trees. He managed to cross the river, landing on the other side completely exhausted, but very much alive. My brother, believing he had escaped, began attacking the dead wood to recover health. As he recovered, a painful truth emerged. Even being strong for his level, a truly furious enemy would easily kill him. Suddenly, overwhelming pressure descended upon him. A red and fiery aura surrounded the environment. Damn, my brother, the guy was completely frozen in place. This presence was as terrifying as that of the magic owl, a snake tail. He thought the magic owl had finally caught up to him. Then, slowly, he turned around and realized it was nothing. On the forest floor, there was a colossal severed claw, 3 white claws, and a black claw as obsidian. That monster was big enough to break whole trees. Before the slime could process the scene, he saw it wasn't a complete claw, but rather a giant finger. Fear gave way to euphoric greed. A legendary member, but the boy recognized a golden finger, a representation of supreme power that can't even be measured. The crazy guy innocently thought that if he could absorb it, he would gain absurd power, maybe even a colossal evolution. And there he was, laughing like a madman, incredulous about the luck he had. Without wasting any time, he spread over the scales and began activating his decomposition ability. The gooey tentacles wrapped around the golden finger like an attack, trying to break through the surface and capture that power. But something was off. The process was painful and extremely difficult. The goo began to burn, and the system alert decided to blink. Decomposition failed. The ability wasn't enough, or the level difference was too great. Targets invulnerability activated. The repelling power of the finger pushed his cells away. Damn. Instead of gaining experience, the slime started taking damage. 1 point, 2 points, 1.0. The suffocating heat consumed his insides. Losing his senses, he activated self-alchemy and cut the connection with that power. A part of his body was thrown away as he recoiled, breathless. The guy looked at that golden finger and felt nothing but regret. You know? Are you crazy, my brother? The miserable experience points that appeared on the screen are like a consolation trophy. That's it. This guy starts cursing a lot for not having gained more points in the decomposition skill. It's like having found a treasure but not being able to grab it, you know? Because that tiny inventory of his can't hold anything. So our boy made a very sensible decision. He saw that he was going to leave that there. Once he levels up, he'll go back to get it. But then, out of nowhere, the ground starts shaking. It seems like it's about to collapse. The severed finger activates by itself, shining like fireworks and shooting up from the ground like a missile. The creature rises, piercing through the treetops, and the slime watches it all with that face of, "What's happening, my brother? What's going on, man?" A loud crash occurs, and with no time to react, the impact hits hard, creating a crater that size, you know? The slime barely escapes, trembling with fear, shrinking back behind a root. He finally grasps the notion that the world is one insane mess, and the further he goes, the smaller he feels. The arrogance he had, haha, my brother, completely dissolves. He hides like dead wood and finds a way to strengthen himself. Below him, the earth reveals worms, gemstones, and even a mimicking monster, waiting in the much deeper darkness. A finger broke the soil and, in the silence that followed, explodes, again with a frightening red and black aura, proving it wasn't just a limb, but something much more sinister. The slime checks his mental map. The finger is in the northeast, the mask owl in the southwest, and between the two, a relatively safe area in the dense forest. He chooses a thick tree as a temporary base. Our boy wants to take a nap, you know, and recover the clones the next day using his dissolution ability. So he connects to the trunk and melts the bark. He plans a narrow access that will block the big monsters but leave the interior spacious and comfortable. The crazy guy already imagines himself with a hard hat and starts working with energy. Up high, layer by layer, he dissolves the wood, digging to illuminate the interior, and places a mushroom that glows blue surrounded by a weak poison. Inside that hollow tree, away from predators and cursed relics, he finally breathes safely, exhausted but also feeling very good and comfortable, you see? And he collapses on the moss he gathered with all his care, his body spreading slowly as he proudly observes the interior of his own home. That base is done, a stone table for his meals, all bathed in the blue light of the mushrooms. Every detail was very well thought out to avoid any trouble. The entrance is guarded by a poisonous mushroom. A tunnel leads to a false chamber to trick invaders, while a secret passage connects to the true safe chamber. Up above, feeling like a champion, the slime stretches out a tentacle, gripping a branch as if it were its trophy. It relaxes on the moss, chewing the branch like a cigar, haha, enjoying that feeling of having a safe home amid so much else. But of course, the moment of peace is shattered by a deafening buzz that vibrates through the wood, and when even the inside of the makeshift base shakes, it pokes its head out and mentally screams at whoever is making that noise. "You better stop, brother. I'm starting to get a bit noticed." Looking up, it sees a gigantic swarm of wasps flying over the trees. Instead of hitting the brakes, its mind sees the wasps as abundant targets. A ridiculous idea starts to blossom in its mind. The wasps form a patrol. It's a highly synchronized organization. So, without thinking twice, the slime shoots out a jet of cytoplasm, hitting one of those flying wasps. And well, it bursts into pieces in the air. Afterwards, it positions itself at the entrance of the base, completely exposed like bait. The wasps waste no time. They attack in a blinding frenzy. Then, my friend, at the last second, the slime retreats into the narrow hole. Sometimes they miss. Other times, they get stuck with their stingers embedded at the entrance and are frantically attacking, unaware of the trap it had set up. Secure in its fortress, the protagonist relaxes with that sticky yellow body that worked like flypaper. The wasps get trapped, struggling to escape, while the system notifies that it's farming. Smooth experience, with no effort at all. A surprised slime at the success of the idea becomes even bolder and lets two survivors of the attack slip away. Then, silently, it moves through the forest to a colossal nest high in the trees. On a distant branch, it observes that absurdly large structure. Its eyes narrow. Wait a minute, brother. It's already started to devise a plan to destroy everything and reveals itself, drawing the attention of the sentinel wasps, who, sensing the danger, immediately release a pheromone signal. The air fills with a deafening buzz. When thousands of wasps emerge from the nest at once, the slime stands firm, sure that the stings won't hurt him. For him, more enemies only mean more experience. Then, something changes. Sometimes they don't attack one by one, they surround him, forming a kind of living, vibrant, compact sphere. The wings beat in perfect synchrony. The friction already generates a stifling heat, like the inside of an oven. A red alarm signal blinks in front of him. He didn't expect this strategy, did he? No. Temperature at critical levels. Brother, brace yourself, you're going to turn to smoke. Brother, you're going to melt. All the cells begin to die one by one. An overwhelming panic takes over as he realizes he is taking constant damage disguised as horror. He perceives the true brutality. Those wasps are trying to cook him alive. I told you, I told you. See, I told you. Refusing to give in to fate, the slime then reacts with all his strength. He activates a barrage of primordial plasma. That yellow energy explodes in all directions, destroying the worker wasps and breaking the deadly formation. The heat eases a bit, but before he can breathe a sigh of relief, a new enemy emerges. A heavy unit, seemingly blocking his attacks with a robust shield made of beeswax. This time, its armor advances fearlessly, smoothly dodging the shots that were once deadly. The slime grabs a branch. Alarmed by the situation, his eyes widen as he realizes that the hive guards are much more powerful than the scouts he faced before. And then he sees something even more terrifying. Among that swarm, a wasp with white fur stands out, holding a wooden staff. She raises the staff and conjures a glowing magic circle above her head. The ability, Swarm Summoning, is activated. Brother, everything he feared. A powerful wasp with magical spells. A true army descends from that hive, like a rain of insects. The hierarchy of those creatures becomes clear in his mind. Worker wasps, defensive wasp guards, and finally the wasp mage who commands everything. Oh my brother, this guy was terrified. Terror crosses. It is an evolved form, an opponent who uses magic. His worst nightmare comes true. The wasp mage commands in a chilling tone, "Guard!" The armored wasps dive towards him to finish him off. He responds with everything. The primordial plasma barrage explodes again, hurling yellow fluid up to the sky. The shots pierce through the treetops, detonating the insects in the air. The attack wreaks havoc, but the number of enemies is overwhelming, and he is just one. Our boy is forced to shoot non-stop. With each shot, he loses 10 hit points. His body visibly diminishes, and to survive, he pleads while shooting, anchoring himself on the branch and activating decay, draining the nutrients from the wood below him. With each shot, he recovers 10 hit points, balancing the flow of ammunition. His offensive continues. The ammo is infinite, but the pressure doesn't relent. One of the guards raises the wax shield, deflecting the shots. Again, in frustration, he grows. He realizes he needs something stronger, his last resort, an ultimate. Before he can act, 2 wasp guards dive together for the final attack. He shrinks and notices the body beside him stabbed, but he makes a fatal mistake. Physical contact is his domain. He laughs bravely at the courage of the soldiers who willingly surrendered. Their bodies surround him like a living trap. The armors dissolve as he decomposes the 2 still alive. After eliminating the enemies, the system notifies that the loot has been obtained. His inventory receives wasp spears and a wasp needle from the defeated soldiers, but an alert immediately appears. Inventory full. You need to use the items now. Without hesitation, he improvises, wrapping a sharp wasp spear in his ludo, creating a solid core for a projectile. He spins the weapon quickly, stabilizing the trajectory and accumulating power. Then he fires. The refined shot slices through the air furiously. The beeswax shield shatters, and the wasp guard behind it is hit squarely. A soldier falls, defeated, upon seeing his defense breached. In that instant, the mage senses the situation. Her eyes shine with a silent rage as she raises her staff and orders a retreat. The entire swarm breaks formation and returns en masse to the hive, abruptly abandoning the offensive. Our dear slime clings to the branch, watching them disappear among the trees. 8th day. Feeling of victory or invasion, he scoffs, convinced that the swarm has retreated out of fear at last. The battle heats up like a magical wasp, creating a swirling sphere of golden energy. Upon seeing the shimmering liquid, the slime gets distracted. It looks like honey, and he wishes to taste it, even amidst that combat. But the mage is not offering delicacies. She raises her staff and ignites the sphere. Sparks and embers spring up all around, and the magical wasp throws the fireball down like a meteor. The attack hits the slime, dealing 70 damage, making him scream for help as his health plummets. The mage continues to hurl multiple flaming projectiles in a relentless assault. Well, our slime boy desperately runs, realizing that the fire is a brutal counterattack to his body. The attacks mix flames and sticky honey, dealing area damage. damage. Even while regenerating a bit, he knows he cannot win and decides to flee. As he retreats, he turns and fires a barrage of plasmotion, a stream of yellow slime projectiles. Two armored wasps move forward to intercept the attack. They shield themselves with twin barriers of beeswax, forming a green wall that blocks the slime and protects the mage. He clung to the tree as fire rained down from the sky. The slime complains about their absurd defensive abilities. Accepting defeat, he slides down the trunk, escaping as explosions destroy the wood behind him. That magical wasp invokes a powerful swarm summoning spell to call reinforcements from the hive. Then, my friend, a new enemy emerges. Suicide bees. That's right, you heard it. Saturated with energy and with shiny abdomens, they go to defend the hive. With a suicide squad, they charge into battle. They dive into a coordinated attack. The trunk of the tree where the slime hides is struck in a synchronized movement, and upon impact, they explode, creating a chain reaction of explosions that engulfs the area in flames. The slime, my friend, leaps from the burning trunk to avoid the fire, landing on a lower branch. Its slimy body absorbs the impact. The magical wasp, with a crafty look, soon spots the slime and gives the order for her soldiers to cut off its escape route. That slime feels the tree shaking violently. It notices that two large wasps are sawing at the branch, my friend. Holy Mary! Then, with a snap, the branch breaks and the slime falls. As it descends, it spots a trap right below, tons of suicide bees eagerly waiting to catch it. Up above, that magical wasp prepares her final blow, conjuring a yellow energy sphere, as big as a sun. And well, she launches this colossal ball of energy downward. That explosion heads toward the slime and the bees, showing that the mage does not hesitate to sacrifice her own troops to ensure the target's death. Then, with its vision blinded by the intense light, the slime watches the attack descend, and then, my friend, the spell hits the slime, generating an explosion of gigantic proportions. A mushroom-shaped cloud rises above the forest, and this cloud, my friend, is visible for miles. When the dust finally settles, the magical wasp, exhausted, and her guards lower their weapons, believing the threat is gone. Chunks of burning wood still fall from the sky, the only relics of that devastation. The forest seems calm now, and the guards return to their duties, but a sudden disturbance catches the attention of two guards who were bringing resources back home. They freeze in place, with the magical wasp's eyes wide open, realizing they are not alone. Then in the blink of an eye, the slime breaks the tree's bark behind them in a sneaky charge, before the insects can react. The yellow predator leaps through the air, and the slime captures the guards, restraining them and declaring that the inside of the nest is completely vulnerable. Surviving the attack with cunning, the slime had a plan. Instead of just hiding, it devoured the wood, creating a secret tunnel to the nest. Then, just before the explosion, it spent 150 HP to create a clone of its own body, leaving it outside as bait. The plan was spot on. It saw those wasps focus on the clone while the real one went unnoticed, climbing up the tree. The guy is tough too, you know? Let me tell you that. Now, the slime breaks through the wall of the hive, invading terrible and hostile depths. Inside, it uses its search skill, spreading out to map the corridors. It quickly passes through a storage room, but unfortunately, it's not its goal. It checks a chamber full of giant larvae, but also skips it. Finally, it finds a golden chamber filled with honey that tempts it greatly, but our little slime stays focused, promising to come back for the honey while hunting for the core of the nest. Then, the slime bursts onto the ground in the deepest chamber of the nest and soon spots its unprotected target, that wasp queen, a colossal and motionless creature. She rests on a cushion, savoring to generate more soldiers. The invasion alerts the defenders. Their guards and maids turn around, realizing their defenses have been breached. The true battle, led by the furious magical wasp, faces an intruder with blood-red eyes. The slime crawls up the queen's abdomen, holding a stone at her head height. It warns the guards that she is its hostage. The queen, poor thing, trembles in fear as the stone hovers over her. But our little slime miscalculated. Instead of surrendering, the enraged magical wasp screams an order for an immediate attack. The guards obey and advance to annihilate the intruder. Ignoring the risk to his queen, the slime's eyes widened, realizing that the negotiation had completely failed and there was no other way out. My brother, he crushes the stone with brutal force, annihilating the queen. In turn, his magic paralyzes in shock, witnessing the death of the heart of the colony, and the impact is immediate. Out there, thousands of wasps lose their ability to fly and plummet from the sky. Inside the nest, the mages and guards fall, crumbling. The slime explains that the queen acted as a host and, without her, the colony would perish. He stands over the inert body of the queen, disappointed. His attempt at negotiation had failed. As that colony perishes, the system informs that he has leveled up from 15 to 17. In the forest, silently under the moonlight, a system notification confirms that the slime can level up after destroying the hive. He jumps from a tree, landing among the already dead suicide bees. The system warns that the remains of the bees have stopped granting experience for 24 hours, and that his temporary life bonus will soon vanish. He then opens the status window and sees that he has reached level 21 with 918 HP. The skills have improved significantly. The poison resistant status is at level 7, and he has gained a new skill, Central Command level 2. Confused by this new skill, he attempts to allocate skill points, but nothing happens. He wonders if it is pointless, since he has no one to command. Then he tries to improve decomposition, but a notification informs him that racial skills can only be enhanced through practice. Poor thing, my friend, disappointed at having maxed out the heartbeat, realizes that the increase in life has also expanded the inventory space. Now, his inventory is packed with honey from glowing green monsters. And look at the description. It says that it restores 400 HP, making it a precious treasure. Exhausted from that incursion, the slime sits in the grass. Stepping back to catch his breath, alone under that very beautiful moonlight surrounded by monstrous insects, he reflects on why he feels such complex emotions. Being just a little slime, he has no heart, so he begins to mentally review his journey. He remembers the enemies he devoured to survive: an acid snail, a monstrous spider, and a giant crab, also from the swamp. The predator's path led to the destruction of an entire wasp colony. Then, suddenly, he has a tragic vision, a memory of his prey, a small crab full of curiosity, asking his mother why his father hasn't come to play yet. His vision reveals a well-dressed father, talking on the phone with his wife, saying he is with clients and can't come home. The mother tries to calm the son, claiming that the father is working hard for them. A crab-shaped clock on the wall ticks almost midnight, signaling that something is wrong. Anguish starts to rise as the mother realizes that her husband has made no contact. Fearing that he has passed out from drinking too much, she tells her son that it's time to go look for the crab father, and so they set out, crossing that dark night. The boy sings about a storm, but the mother asks him to be quiet, unaware that his father has already been devoured by a slime in a dark alley. The father stumbles into view, holding a briefcase. The boy, seeing the silhouette, shouts in happiness, thinking his father has returned. The mother, confused, questions why that body is moving away from the house and notices it is falling down, assuming her husband is drunk. Calling for help from her son, the excited boy runs toward the silhouette when the figure turns around. It is not the father, but rather a misshapen slime, dressed in the clothes, with a distorted red eye. The monster whispers that his father was delicious. The boy screams, filled with horror at the sight. The slime panics, realizing it has become the villain of that story. Amid the dark forest, it tries to calm itself, telling itself that it was overthinking, since it still has a human mind, right? Even though it is a monster now, guilt continues to torment it. It perceives the presence of predators in the darkness and accepts, there in the jungle, to hunt or be hunted. Instead of hesitating, it decides that hunting and decomposing is its only path. Focused on survival, it resolves to check the clone it had released earlier to see what it had collected in a rush through the underbrush of the forest. The slime moves quickly, leaping over the bushes, heading towards the clone. Suddenly it stops, and right in front of it sees an intense warm glow coming from a campfire. Extremely curious, our slime friend pushes through the bushes, trying to get a better look, pondering whether there are humans nearby. It peeks through the leaves and its heart races as it confirms its suspicions. There it spots 3 adventurers resting around a campfire. Hidden, the slime feels scared and nervous at the sight of people in this monster-filled world. On the other side, a pink-haired warrior, Mia Rose Rank C, is relaxing, leaning against a sleeping armored boar, thanking little Stephen Beck for finding the way to the campfire. The bearded warrior Rank B apologizes to the team, feeling guilty for having lost them while looking for a target. Colin Ferner, with his white hair, observes the situation. He notes that the magical communication has been interrupted, and that the forest is like a labyrinth, and tells Hank not to blame himself, as these anomalies were totally unpredictable. Cole suggests that they report everything to the church as soon as they escape. That conversation reveals that the guildmaster has been missing for about 2 years, and, as if that weren't enough, he adds that there were rumors that the church had suspected the guild before the disappearance. 10 years ago, the master of that guild, Gon, founder of the Guild of 100 Styles, had as his philosophy equality, with the motto, "No deception, no abuse." and no evil. That guild stood out for its generosity and unity among its members, you know? However, its rapid growth aroused the church's suspicion. So, my friend, 2 years ago, Gon accepted a mission from the Pope to the swamp forest and was never seen again. My brother Rick comments that without a master, the guild has fallen apart. He thanks Nia. Cole, humbly, says he owes everything to Gon. Without his guild, which embraced his entire adventurer career, he would be compromised by his profession. Cole, still focused on reading, sarcastically fires off that Nia can control magical vacations and surely has nothing to worry about for the future, right? A girl already quite annoyed, Nia tells him to shut up and go to sleep. Cole quickly apologizes, realizing he touched a sensitive nerve, you know? Meanwhile, the slime struggles to listen to all of this while hiding in the bushes. Furthermore, our little guy begins to catch only words like guild, church. The slime realizes that understanding the politics of this human world is crucial for its survival. Taking advantage of its shape-shifting ability, it extends a flattened tentacle from the bush, pretending to be a sound receiver. Now it listens intently from the bed, while the adventurers continue their conversation, oblivious to its presence. But that spying, my brother, is interrupted when Colin, not taking his eyes off the book, calmly says that there is a monster nearby. The slime, my brother, realizes it has been detected and goes into a panic. Before it can retract the tentacle, a shard of ice conjured by Cole explodes from the ground, hitting its member. The attack is devastating, my brother, and the system notification informs that the ice effect is super effective against slimes, reducing their speed by about 90% and leaving it shivering from the cold. Poor thing, my brother, the guy is now in total despair. The slime starts to pull its frozen member towards the bushes, leaving a trail of ice in its wake. It hints to its comrades that it has settled the trouble. Rick raises his shield, curious about where the enemy is, while sending his boar and Beck to scout the area. The slime is frozen, observing everything. He is horrified as the wild boar approaches. Little Uncle Beck starts sniffing the slime, thinking that Big Pile of Yellow is a snack, decided that it looks like a frozen treat. When the wild boar takes a bite, the slime screams internally as it is chewed. Holy cow! The guy is now wide-eyed with fear. He tries to flee, thinking his end has come. He convinces himself he will be devoured by a wild boar just as he prepares to die. Naya yells at the wild boar not to eat the strange creature. She pulls on her pet's ears, complaining that the slime is just a harmless little monster. She tells the boar to spit the slime out. Obeying, the wild boar spits the slime, covering it in drool. Also, Nia holds up the slimy creature, raising it towards her face with a warm smile. She comments that it looks familiar and asks the little monster if it wants to form a contract. Our radiant boy sees Nia as if she were an angel in front of him. In his mind, he screams, "Now that's it," believing he has finally found the magical bond of his life. But then, Rick Carter interrupts, scolding Nia for wasting time. He reminds her that they need to conserve mana to escape the forest, and not spend it on a fifth-rate slime. Ha ha ha! The slime tries to scream that it is a slime, but only silence escapes. Poor thing. Nia, agreeing, places the slime on the grass, and it feels disappointed to realize that the humans do not hear it, but it doesn't give up. It decides to try to communicate with gestures, contorting its yellow body and stretching its tentacles to draw symbols on the ground. Nia notices the strange behavior, and Rick, feeling clever, tries to make Chinese characters with the shape of the slime in the hopes of proving its intelligence. But the plan, my brother, goes wrong. Rick confuses the symbols and asks if the slime is just trying to make a mess. This guy is left in doubt, not understanding anything. Frustrated, the slime realizes that the humans in this world do not speak or write in English like it does. Being mistaken for acting strangely, it gives up trying to communicate. Still, it comforts itself, thinking that at least humans exist around here, even if it can't talk to them yet about the light of the moon. The slime leaps through the water, distancing itself from the insecurity of the humans it has just met. Landing on the grass, it recalls the magical threat. It wants to avoid the spectral owl after all. She is its greatest weakness. Then, our boy decides to test a new battle skill against the wasps. Activating the core command, a digital grid begins to scan everything around. Its senses transform into a radar system, emitting beeps as it sweeps the area for signals. That blue grid grows among the trees, mapping the dark forest. On top of a rock, the slime waits for the scanning to locate the clones it left behind. The system locks onto a target. It feels as if its body is divided, realizing that the core command is tracking a part of itself. The slime then runs through the forest, following the signal to reclaim its lost mass. The signal grows stronger, guiding it to a large, bright yellow mass near a fallen trunk. Shocked, it realizes that the clone has grown immensely on its own. It wonders how long it has been away. Then it activates recovery mode and merges with the giant clone, absorbing its nutrients as well as experience. The system then begins to announce a massive, insane gain of experience and also health points, leaving the slime energized. It leaps even further towards the next signal to continue its harvest. Beautifully, it ends up finding and absorbing another clone, increasing its poison resistance to level 8. This whole experience takes it to level 22. That slime lands on the grass, eager to continue accumulating experience, and then quickly activates the core command. But the signal is very weak and emitting irregular beeps. Confused, it wonders why this signal has diminished. Frantically searching for the source, it scans that area, but then sees movement near some mushrooms and is horrified to realize that its target is an acid snail devouring its clone. Our boy is furious now. The slime begins to shout and unleashes a burst of its plasma, hitting the attack and pushing the enemy away, leaving the clone trembling. He acts as if the clone were an abandoned child, promising to comfort it. Poor thing. He heads towards the mushroom field to recover what's left of its mass. Suddenly, a speedy red blur attacks from above, crushing the mushrooms. A long and sticky tongue captures the slime, stealing its clone right in front of it. Oh, what an affront. You see? Busy. It's a fat green frog that devours the clone with a satisfied croak. Our little slime watches in shock as the frog burps. All its experience vanishes. That shock quickly turns into immense fury. It vows that the stinky frog will pay dearly for eating its clone. Then, the slime unleashes a barrage of mobile plasma, firing a projectile at the thief. The forest frog senses the attack. The shot hits its face with great force, throwing it backward. With the frog falling, the slime couldn't resist and began to taunt, feeling powerful. The little nut thought it could now face any evil bird, stylish with its snake tail. But oh, how confidence turned into quick confusion. The frog, far from being defeated, showed it was not playing around. There, with its wide mouth, it captured the projectile unscathed, like a master of defense. You got that? Just as the slime was preparing for another attack, the frog made an absurd leap, diving into the river. A splash that sent water flying everywhere, escaping into the deep waters. The slime, desperate, jumped to the edge of the rock, shouting that the frog wouldn't escape that easily. But there was the frog, with its head above the water, teasing and mocking as if to say, "I'm all good, brother. Come get me. I'm not going anywhere." The slime, refusing to give up, fired a rain of attacks that defied logic, but all it managed to do was make noise on the surface. The shots hit the water, and instead of causing damage, they just splashed, useless like a poorly crafted plan. Frustrated, the slime stopped shooting and realized its impotence as the frog hid beneath the water. But suddenly, the frog leapt from the river, and the slime, deducing that it needed air, thought it was the perfect chance to finish it off. It sentenced that this weakness meant the frog's death was imminent. But my friend, the frog was not just breathing. With an epic thrust, it slapped the water's surface, launching itself towards the bank like a rocket. The slime barely managed to dodge as the frog exploded in speed straight towards the rock where it was hiding. The moment the frog stood up, the slime prepared a destructive blow, unleashing a barrage of plasmodium as if there were no tomorrow. A precise shot struck the frog's eye, and it spun with the grace of an artist. My brother. The slime quickly pulled away, running to the tree, seeking refuge. Up there, watching that scene, he realized he had been too arrogant after recent victories. You know, after all, a hunter can become the prey if they don't play with humility, right? Meanwhile, the frog, enraged by its injury, held its bleeding eye and glared at the tree with fury. Poor slime, who, noticing the frog's escape towards the tree, panicked for being out of stone ammunition. So, my friend, our little slime, with no way out, launched liquid iodine projectiles, but instead of causing damage, the frog began devouring each attack in mid-air. And my friend, this attack didn't work out, did it? The slime was shocked to discover that its bombs were merely feeding the stronger monster. Ignoring the pain, the frog began climbing the tree, going straight for the slime. The crazy one up there didn't notice when the frog opened its mouth and, with a long and sticky tongue, shot towards it, grabbing and trapping its target. So then began a true tug of war, with the slime holding onto the branch to avoid coming down, while the frog pulled with all its might. The tension was so great that the poor branch couldn't take it and snapped, sending the slime crashing down, unaware that it was about to have a terrible day. The frog, mouth agape, prepared for a snack with the slime, and in the blink of an eye, the slime used the reversal moment. Tangled in the branch, breaking and holding the sharp tip downwards, he drove the wood into the mouth of the frog and shouted for it to swallow everything. The impact, my brother, was brutal. The wood pierced the frog's brain, which splattered blood everywhere as it fell. The slime, on the other hand, was safe on the trunk of the tree, breathing a sigh of relief, while the frog majestically sank into the water with an absurd splash, ending that mess. Why didn't it eat the frog? Is frog meat any good? At that moment, the slime looked down and felt it had missed a great opportunity to gain experience, as the frog's body sank, all stained red, disappearing into the depths. But it didn't last long until suddenly the water bubbled and two extremely menacing eyes appeared staring from below. Then, my friend, a beam of light emanated from the water, leaving the slime in shock as the attack sliced through the air. The strike hit the tree trunk, piercing it with the power of chaos, launching everything upwards as if it were nothing. And so the show continued to unfold. Our little slime began to sweat cold. But what the hell? Where did it get itself into? That giant frog came with its mouth open, and it planted its legs on the ground, releasing a spray of blood that nearly hit the slime. But our slime quickly jumped from the tree. As it leaped, it formed a limb and grabbed one of the branches, starting to swing. It swung back and forth, gaining momentum while saying that a wise one doesn't fight when the odds of winning aren't in their favor. Does that frog monster have a third form? Is that the case? The one captured by the heron serpent earlier. Why didn't it transform and fight against a creature that was in a superior form? Could it perhaps be the difference in levels? Then it begins to think, how does such a low-ranked monster deserve such a petty form? There's nothing that could be as bad as a pathetic form like that. But anyway, it decides to retreat. First, however, as it's retreating, there's our frog with its mouth open, ready to devour it. It tries to dodge and manages to. This one barely escaped as it shakes the frog, also shaking with its tongue. The frog's eyes begin to bleed. It feels the blood vessel and continues to shake, pouring more blood into our monstrosity. Unlike the last times, this time it almost hit our slime directly. Realizing that the frog's blood is so toxic and that its level 8 poison resistance cannot stop it, the sanctified frog continues the attack, diving down while activating its ability called Tongue Whip. The long red tongue of the frog explodes like a harpoon, grabbing our little slime and pulling it down with all its might. Even after the blow, our little slime shows off and laughs at the situation, thinking that little damage would affect it, convinced that physical hits would be nothing against its liquid form. But poor thing, its confidence soon turns to despair as it realizes it has been dragged into the river. And that, my friend, is its deadly weakness, right? Fresh water. Oh, how delightful. A red alert. Screams that the osmotic pressure of the slime cells is down and that it needs to get out of there quickly or it's over, my brother. Before the slime could come up with a plan, the sanctified frog lunges forward with its mouth open and, with a snap, closes its mouth tightly, swallowing our little slime without even a second thought. The silence of the forest is total as the frog floats in the water, looking completely satisfied after a meal, right? But what happens is that the frog's mouth starts to swell and twist. The slime is inside, fighting not to be digested. The frog tightens its jaw even more, forcing the slime down its throat. Inside the stomach, the slime is submerged in gastric acid. Meanwhile, it horrifiedly watches its life melting away, taking 33 damage every second. That darkness and the swamp envelop the slime, and it tries to escape by throwing away its core, but it is so tired from the struggle that it cannot use its splitting ability. Inside the stomach, the frog croaks. Triumphant, it begins to move in that water, believing it has defeated its enemy. Our little slime realizes that it needs to go all in and takes a definitive dive into the water, instead of fighting against the pressure that weakens it. Then, our boy intentionally activates its osmotic pressure weakness. By absorbing the water, its body starts to expand rapidly inside the frog's throat. The frog, my friend, panics and starts to clutch its own throat, realizing that something is wrong when its neck begins to swell in an extremely strange way. Meanwhile, the slime continues to expand, filling every space in the frog's mouth and throat, determined to choke the creature to death. The frog, croaking in total despair, has its eyes nearly bulging out of their sockets, while the slime forces the frog's jaws open to survive the damage. As it expands, the slime begins to consume all the honey it got from the wasp monsters, regaining 400 health points with each dose, fueling its growth and regenerating nicely. The slime becomes huge, stretching the frog's body to the limit. The pressure becomes unbearable. It's a colossal explosion. The sanctified frog flies through the air, bursting from the inside out. Blood and guts fly through the water as the slime's expansion completely destroys the frog. Then, our victorious slime friend floats in the river like a massive mountain of iodine. Our beloved system announces that our little slime has defeated the frog and also gained experience for surviving the poison. Oh, and now it has even gained a new antibody. After this explosive victory, the slime floats towards the swamp trees, looking like a green mountain. It stays there, staring at its new gigantic body, unable to believe how it looks. A status window appears, revealing its new passive ability, maximum osmotic pressure regulation. Now its HP skyrocketed to 11,170, far beyond its previous maximum. But it's better to hurry, because a timer warns that this life bonus will disappear in an hour. It examines its new form. And note that this size allows it to float as if it were an iceberg, and the bottom part absorbs water, but the giant volume is safe to regulate pressure. This immunity to water became an unexpected benefit of its unexpected move. Then, my friend, on the other hand, the slime panics upon noticing the timer. It is horrified to see that the 10,000 extra health points will quickly dissipate. In other words, it has to get out of the water. Its expression changed. The total ambition, consumption then, it needs to consume something quickly. It then begins to use all that honey to achieve this total ambition consumption form. Using all its honey to reach this form, it needs to take advantage of it to gain some returns. It laughs, imagining itself an unstoppable cashew. My brother, suddenly, a crazy idea from the game, Sticky Ball, pops up, and it decides to roll through the forest, devouring everything in its new giant form. With that, our little slime begins to descend through the flooded forest, gobbling everything while various system notifications pop up, confirming decomposition and delivering experience points. Also, our little slime, or now big, right, moves between the trees using its size to farm resources before the zero timer. Leaning in the water, fish swim comfortably among the roots, but out of nowhere, the attack comes with its butt in the water, startling the fish. The hunt is tricky, you know? Even though it's immune to pressure, the current slows it down too much and the fish are agile, right? Determined that the water is a bust, it heads for dry land, dragging its colossal body out of the river. It spots a bunch of mushrooms near a tree and takes a stroll, absorbing the fungi at lightning speed, leaving a hollow trail. It moves on steadily, with dry ground ahead. In the midst of all this, it noticed two luminous little creatures in the shape of otters with a fresh fish they caught. The huge slime looms over the little ones, screaming as if it were terror, and launching itself into a sinister shadow without giving them time to react. Poor things. It lunges, smashing them with its sticky body, but does not eat them. No, as it moves away, it jumps in the coolest way, thinking it's going to stay. With their fish, he leaves the otters behind. The poor otters are left there, covered in green iodine, looking in shock, traumatized, as dinner is stolen. Then, he continues rolling through the forest. Our little slime tries to justify the theft, telling himself that sparing the cute otters and taking only their food is proof that he still has some sort of merciful human soul within that slime body. But this philosophical reflection is interrupted when he spots a squirrel holding a nut. The creature looks insane, its ears and tail on fire. And what happens, my brother? The squirrel's body bursts into flames with insane intensity. Quick as a flash, the squirrel does a handstand and fires a fireball from its tail, launching a column of flames at the slime. My friend thinks that hit was spot on. The slime panics. Fewer damage markers rise on the screen. Then, he realizes that this is fire magic, and it is also a sinister weakness of his. But as massive as he is, the size difference is ridiculous. The slime asserts himself, warning the tiny creature not to get mad because it was attacked first. Then, my friends, without a second thought, he simply crushes the squirrel with his giant body, joking that catching fire in the forest is forbidden. He lifts his huge body, and only a clean little skeleton remains on the ground. He ate the squirrel, my brother. Then the system starts ringing, confirming that the victim was defeated and decomposition was in full swing, granting him some experience points. Further inside the forest, things are wild, and various loud crashes echo among the trees. A giant muscular lizard is hurled away, landing with a big thud. It's this time's villain, an animated tree monster with a shining crystal in its chest, swinging its branch arms as if there were no tomorrow. The lizard, well, it gets up, its throat swelling, ready to retaliate, and it unleashes a powerful liquid jet, like a natural flame boat. The acid spit hits the tree monster squarely, making that splash of acid and fire. The acid begins to corrode, melting the shell and flesh of the creature that rises up screaming in pain. But even with half of its structure gone, the monster still has a trick up its sleeve. A shiny little seed drops from its injured form, landing perfectly in a hollow stump. This stump, as if it had taken an energy drink, quickly regenerates, bringing the tree monster back to life. The lizard, already furious, snarls at the sight of its enemy rising again and charges forward with all its speed and ferocity. It also lunges forward like a rocket, brother, intent on ending the fight once and for all. The tree monster tries to intercept it with a branch, challenging it, but the lizard seems to just dodge and get closer. But it's not smart enough, and a branch wraps around the lizard's arm, healing its scales like a toothpick. And suddenly, white sprouts begin to emerge along the branch. Learning to let go, an ugly flower appears right in the lizard's face. It stared at that, and the creature didn't look good at all. That flower is a true parasitic infection. Red buds instantly sprout from the lizard's eye. That infection was quick and violent. Its eye explodes. It's a shower of blood, and it screams in pain as the tree monster strikes with a heavy branch, crushing the lizard with the impact. The poor creature is launched far away, colliding against the rocky ground with full force. Blind and battered, poor thing, the lizard doesn't give up. It rises, staggering with great difficulty. As if that wasn't enough, it activates thermal vision to see things differently, you know? Using this new ability, it notices that you didn't like the video, brother. Are you kidding me? You made it this far. Let's hit the like button and scrap the video, right? So back to the story. Using this new ability, it perceives the attacks, seeing the branches as hot trails. The lizard then takes a monstrous leap, soaring over its enemy. It twists and spins like a fireball. True projectile, using its sharp tail. He executes a downward strike with all his strength. That blade, well, it sinks deep into the monster. The tree shatters the creature. The tree is reduced to splinters with green pulp, while its core explodes. And the lizard, well, that guy comes out triumphant and starts roaring loudly, a mixture of saliva and blood dripping down. But my friend, this victory came at a price. Did you see that flower in his eye? It bloomed right there. The lizard, giving that big pretended scream of pain, stands there, blind, with that flower sprouting out of nowhere. Our little giant slime rolls down the hill, casting a huge shadow over the pain-stricken creature. Without pain or mercy, our slime rolls, crushing the larva, absorbing it. The system automatically alerts about the strange object, but its antibodies neutralize it right away, giving experience for the feast. Our little slime is puzzled, wondering what just happened and, not caring about anything else, focuses on devouring as much as it can before time runs out. Even after rolling for hours, the forest remains intense and dense, as if nothing had happened. Suddenly the ground trembles, and a distant mountain, an incredible pillar of dark energy, explodes toward the sky. The sky fills with magical geometric patterns as that energy pierces through the clouds. Confused, our little slime is left speechless. Are you kidding me, brother? What is this? It looks like there was a colossal show going on over there, but without any sound. Not understanding what it saw, its time runs out. A message from the system erases what's left. Its HP and colossal body explode into smoke, and it shrinks quickly, returning to its original form, a squished slime on the grass. After shrinking, our little slime checks its status, and astonished realizes it has reached level 49. And that was the insane ride that happened, my friend. But the trouble doesn't end there, you know? And of course, if you liked the video and want a continuation, go ahead and hit that like button, share this video, and comment below. I want a continuation. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next video.